There comes a moment when someone finally stops moving. They sit down, maybe on a bed, perhaps on a chair, or even on a cold bathroom floor. The location doesn't matter. What matters is the weight they've been carrying. They're not sitting because their legs are tired. They're sitting because something inside them has reached its limit, like a structure holding more than it was built to bear. If you've experienced this even once, you understand that collapse doesn't announce itself. There's no dramatic fall. Instead, it happens quietly, almost gently, as if your soul whispers, "I cannot carry this anymore." Those who've endured too much recognize this moment in ways others simply cannot. The strange part? You rarely notice you've become that person until life makes you confront it. Someone might ask, how do you stay so composed about things that would upset most people? And you struggle to explain that it isn't composure, it isn't inner peace. It's the numbness that develops when your mind has processed more than it was designed to handle. It's the stillness that emerges after your emotions have run endless marathons without a break. Most people believe resilience equals strength, but for those who've endured too much, resilience feels less like power and more like a survival mechanism, something you developed because there was no alternative. This creates a unique psychological presence that others notice even if they can't articulate it. There's a weight to your presence, a depth visible in your eyes, a gentleness in how you listen, and a pause before you respond to questions. You've learned to compress your emotions into manageable forms that fit into the quiet corners of your consciousness. You've mastered the art of moving forward even when your internal world resembles a hurricane. Here's the paradox. People who've been through extensive hardship often appear wise, composed, mature, and thoughtful. They seem to have everything figured out. But if anyone could glimpse their internal landscape, they'd realize this maturity wasn't earned through gentle growth. It was extracted through necessity, not chosen, but demanded. Some people develop because they're nurtured. Others develop because life refuses to provide the carefree experiences everyone else seems to receive. When you've carried more emotional weight than your body was designed to, your mind restructures itself. Psychologists identify this partly as emotional recalibration. When someone's nervous system experiences repeated overwhelm, it reorganizes itself, not elegantly, but desperately. It adapts through heightened awareness. It adapts through emotional preparation. It adapts by anticipating problems before they materialize. If you've wondered why you overthink, why you notice subtle tone shifts, or why you prepare for problems that haven't occurred, this is the reason. Your mind learned that unpredictability meant danger, so it constructed defenses you never consciously requested. Even after healing and growth, remnants of these defenses remain like old foundations beneath a renovated structure. People who've endured excessive hardship often carry invisible knowledge. They can interpret silence. They sense tension before others detect it. They navigate conflict like someone stepping around shattered glass. They understand what it means to calm others while their own heart races. They know how to minimize themselves when attention feels threatening. They recover quickly from disappointment because life never granted them the privilege of falling apart. They developed emotional responses that others mistake for personality, but these aren't personality traits. They're survival adaptations, learned behaviors, psychological autopilot programmed into the nervous system, often beginning early. Developmental psychology research demonstrates that prolonged stress, uncertainty, or emotional overload causes the brain to recalibrate. It becomes more threat-sensitive, more reactive to subtle signals, more attuned to patterns others ignore. People call it intuition, but for many, it isn't intuition, it's pattern recognition learned through necessity. There's a softness in people who've endured extensive hardship, a gentleness born from understanding pain not theoretically, but experientially. This tenderness is frequently misinterpreted as weakness. But if you've lived through difficult moments, you know the truth. Softness doesn't emerge from an easy life. It emerges from a challenging one, a life that taught you empathy through immersion, showing you that everyone carries hidden burdens. This empathy creates an interesting dynamic. You become the person who comforts others so naturally that they don't realize you've rarely been comforted yourself. You understand others because you've had to understand yourself in ways most people never do. You offer warmth because you've experienced cold chapters. You hold space because you've had moments when nobody held it for you. But beneath all that empathy lies something else. Exhaustion. The quiet exhaustion of someone who's been strong too long. Not the external exhaustion visible to the world, but the internal kind you carry alone. The exhaustion that doesn't lead to rest, but to retreat. The exhaustion sleep can't cure, only understanding can. You become someone who can support everyone except yourself. Someone who cares for others but struggles to request help. Someone who provides clarity but lives with unanswered questions. It's not because you distrust others, it's because your mind learned early that depending on someone else felt unpredictable, and unpredictability feels like instability beginning. People often question why individuals who've endured too much become emotionally independent to the point of isolation. But their independence isn't confidence, it's protection. It's a defense mechanism. It's the safest choice in a world that has felt unsafe repeatedly. They learn self-soothing, self-analysis, self-correction, and self-care, not by preference but by necessity. This creates a pattern. The external world sees someone capable and composed. The internal world knows someone tired, sensitive, and quietly overwhelmed. This duality profoundly shapes their psychology. They become comfortable with emotional contradictions. They can be open yet guarded, caring yet detached, present yet distant, hopeful yet cautious, emotionally rich yet selectively expressive. People who've endured too much don't avoid vulnerability because they dislike it. They avoid it because vulnerability has historically carried consequences: disappointment, misunderstanding, emotional imbalance. They learned early that vulnerability isn't a shared experience, it's a risk. Because of this, they open up slowly, carefully, deliberately. They reveal themselves gradually, not from manipulation, but from self-preservation. But here's what almost nobody tells them. Nothing about them is broken. Their reactions make complete sense. Their caution makes sense. Their depth makes sense. Psychological adaptation isn't a flaw. It's a response to circumstances. The mind is a storyteller. When someone has lived through numerous difficult chapters, their psychological narrative becomes complex. Their emotions become nuanced. Their internal world develops layers of meaning invisible to others. Yet despite everything, there's something profoundly beautiful about the psychology of those who've endured too much. They often love quietly but intensely. They appreciate small kindnesses more than grand gestures. They notice details others miss. They treasure peaceful moments because they know chaos intimately. They value emotional authenticity because they've witnessed the cost of pretense. One of their most remarkable traits: they persist, regardless. Even with heavy hearts, tired minds, and uncertain futures, they continue. Not because they're unbreakable, but because they've been broken before and found ways to stand anyway. There's a wisdom that only comes from surviving yourself, a maturity that only comes from navigating emotions without guidance, a self-awareness that only comes from being forced to decode your inner world. People who've lived through too much carry all of this within them, like unwritten chapters of a book they never intended to write. But here's what most people never notice. Underneath all the survival instincts, emotional responses, maturity, and depth, there remains a part of them wishing life had been easier. Not perfect, just gentler. A version of life where they didn't need to mature so quickly. A version where their nervous system wasn't trained to brace for impact. A version where they didn't need to be the strong one constantly. Yet even without that gentler version, they move forward. They show up. They carry wisdom that feels decades beyond their years. And they transform their experiences into understanding, their lessons into compassion, their pain into depth, their struggles into quiet strength. Because people who've endured too much don't just survive life, they interpret it. They examine it, they reflect on it. They convert their past into insight, their emotions into meaning, their experiences into perspective. In that transformation, even if they never realize it, they become a source of illumination for others. They become the person others seek for honesty, calmness, and clarity. The person who listens without judgment. The person who understands without requiring every detail because they know what it feels like to carry something you cannot explain. They know what it feels like to hold emotions that lack words. They know what it feels like to want someone to understand without asking you to relive the entire narrative. That's where their unique psychology becomes not just a reflection of their past, but a contribution to the world.